Actually, overnight this has opened up some. So I guess the springs in the overdrive have been pushing on this, and I did spray it with WD-40 a few times to try and get things loosened up. But I think I'm still going to take it apart here first, as I think the book, that's what the book means, even though it kind of said remove this and then said if it's an overdrive do something different, but see how it goes. Okay, remove the nuts, letting the long studded version come off last so I could evenly lift it up. One thing I noticed is the lock washers on the two long studs were much thicker than the lock washers on the remaining studs. I don't know if that's by design or just somebody put in new ones that were thicker or thinner, but I'll probably put it back the same way. Okay, took it apart, took all the springs out. I got the inner springs and the outer springs. They all appear to be the same length, and I thought they were supposed to be different. But anyway, I kept them separated in case there's some other difference I'm not sure, don't know about yet. And then I set the overdrive back on just to make sure I could get it back together before I did anything with rotating the shaft and all, and it went right on, so that's good news. One other note on these fasteners to secure the overdrive, these are the two long guys that have the thicker washers, and maybe an explanation is these are actually jam nuts, half thickness nuts, I guess to allow you to have access. It's a little tight under that flange, and so the thinner washers also help that cause. Maybe that's what the purpose is. The next step in my book says to take off the clutch fork and throw out bearing and cross shaft, which I've already done. They don't mention this oil pump cam that rides on some splines here, and looks like there's a thrust washer underneath that, so I don't want those to fall off. I'm going to take those out and bag them. Here's the oil pump, I think, that rides on that cam. So luckily when I test fit it back on without the springs, the cam must have been pointed away from here, so this actually let it go on. And then here's the engagement solenoid shaft, and there's a lever on this side. Okay, I took the cam gear off and there's a circlip here and then the thrust washer, so I don't have to worry about that quite yet. So the next step, they say, is to take the front cover off, so I'll do that. Just so I know how this goes back on, there's a slight bulge here, which I think is a oil passageway to the bearing that's under here. But that's where the bulge goes, towards the starter. Okay, all the bolts are the same length, and that bump is indeed a little oil passageway. Might not even, well, yeah, it does matter which way, because there's a feeder hole there. So it is important to get that on the right way. And there's a circlip here that I'm sure I have to take off, and getting close to taking this apart. Okay, not exactly sure where I left off, but I had to clean up. It was getting pretty bad. It's got a new bearing puller kit, which I guess I need after I take off this rear plate, which is the next step. Or this is actually, I guess, the overdrive adapter plate. Okay, this plate comes off easy enough. All the bolts are the same length. There's some flat washers. The thing I noticed on these bolts, which may be hard to see in the camera, but I thought at first they had a hole drilled in them. I don't know if you can see right here, right there. I think all of them have it. And I'm wondering now if those bolts were sticking into the case and something rattled around and damaged them all in this one little spot. It's about the same depth on all the bolts. So that's not good news. There was a paper gasket between the back of the transmission and the adapter plate, and then a thicker gasket between the plate and the overdrive. This indicates, I don't know if it's a later or newer transmission, but there was a change where instead of having this configuration, they had some long bolt pin that went through and locked the reverse shaft and the counter shaft in place. And this is the other style that I have, I guess. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit out of order now because they want you to take off the front cover for the counter shaft as well as this back holder piece and let the thing drop down in the bottom of the case. But I really want it rattling around down in there while I'm trying to work on this bearing and all. So I'm going to make sure I can move this bearing out a little bit, I think, before I drop that shaft down. The concern is you don't want the gears to mash into the counter shaft if you're yanking them up or down. But I'm just going to make sure my bearing puller goes on there and a few things, and I may end up dropping the counter shaft next anyway, but I want to look at this more. Okay, that clip came off easy enough, and then there's a washer under it, and since there's a lot of washers in here of different thicknesses, this one on mine measures 91 mils. And I noticed this screw head, look how mashed that thing is. Whoever was in here last time sure made a mess of things. I'm not even sure it's going to come out, but it's going to have to one way or another, I guess. Okay, this lift bearing comes out very easily. I can take a screwdriver here and just gently push and it lifts right up. So I don't need to use a puller on that guy. So I think I'm ready then to tackle this and then remove the cover on the other side and let that shaft drop down.